Hello everyone and welcome. Today I wanted to offer a nice gentle yin yoga practice that has a focus on the root chakra. So before we get started, I wanted to just kind of touch a little bit on what exactly the root chakra is. Chakras in general are energy centers that are located throughout our body. And we have 7 main energy centers and they're located along our spinal column. The very first one, the base one, is the root chakra or the Muladhara chakra. And this is at the base of our spine. So if you're sitting on the floor or in a chair, you're sitting up nice and tall, the part of your spine, the part of your pelvis that is touching the floor right at the base is where your root chakra is located. And physically, it not only is responsible for the base of your spine and the organs around the base of your spine, but also your legs, your knees, and your feet. So today's practice is going to be focused on those physical parts of the body, but mostly it's going to be focused on the subtle body aspects of this, so the energetic aspects. The root chakra energetically is responsible for the foundations, our safety, our security, our stability, literally the earth. So right now in the world that we're living in, a lot of us are stuck, if we will, at home. We're focused on our home life. We're focused on the financial stability and security in our work life. Right now, the earth is actually physically going through a transformation of a little bit of cleansing with less people on the roads, less airplanes, less cruise ships. And so we're very much working in this more root chakra element right now. So I thought it would be helpful to offer a gentle flow that will encourage more energy to flow in that area for a better balance, because we can have too much energy in this area or not enough. And right now, many of us are probably feeling a little out of sorts in this area and in these different energies. So this flow is just a very gentle one to help you connect with that feeling of security and stability and groundedness. So for today's practice, you'll want a blanket or a towel, and then I also have a couple of yoga blocks here. If you don't have yoga blocks, then you can grab a couple of books or maybe a couple of pillows. Basically, we're going to be using these yoga blocks to help prop up different areas of our bodies so that we feel a little more secure and a little more stable. So you can use different pillows and stuff for that. Some other elements of the root chakra that we won't really go into too much today are aspects of crystals and stones that you can use, deities that are associated with this root chakra. So anything, and colors. So the root chakra, the color is like a deep, dark red or even a dark brown if you think of the earth and the dirt. So any type of dark red stone or dark brown stone would be a great addition to your practice today if you want to have that close by. I very much utilize Hindu deities in my practice. So I have a Ganesh statue pretty close by. I also here have some quartz crystals. Quartz is really good for, I feel, good for energy, any energy center. So I have a couple of quartz crystals here along with a candle to just kind of help me focus and set that more grounded, rooted, relaxed space. So keeping your space along the same lines of the energies that we're hoping to bring into our practice will be really helpful for your root chakra as well. Also, any kind of scents. So aromatherapy related to the root chakra is going to be a really great way to help enhance these energies in your practice. So I had a little patchouli incense going, some Palo Santo incense as well. There are many oils that you can use for aromatherapy. So anything that is more rooted and earthy. So like patchouli, I feel is a really great one for grounding and more of a root chakra element. But any type of just really earthy scent that feels good for you and feels really grounding for you would be excellent. And I'll put a few recommendations in the comments here. So without further ado, let's get started. We're going to start in a comfortable seated position. Now, if this is not comfortable for you, please find a comfortable seated position that works best for your body. If you are seated and your knees are really high up and this is just not comfortable, an option is to take your towel or your blanket and go ahead and sit on it so that your hips, where your root chakra is located, the base of your spine, is a little bit higher than your knees. We won't be here too terribly long, but we are going to use this seated position to connect with our breath and to just transition into our space and into our practice today. So go ahead and close your eyes. Sitting up nice and tall so the crown of your head is reaching up towards the ceiling. Stacking your shoulders over your hips. So it might feel like you need to lean back a little bit to make that happen. And just take a couple of breaths here. And for today's practice, we want to focus on our breath happening through the nose. So inhales and exhales happening through the nose. This allows the air to be filtered as it enters through the nasal passageways. Allows the body to bring the air in at a little warmer of a temperature into the lungs. And we can use this nasal breathing as a way to focus our mind, to make our practice more of a meditation. So let's add a count to our inhales and our exhales. So go ahead and exhale everything. We're going to inhale for 5 counts. So inhaling for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And through the nose, we exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And again, we inhale through the nose for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we exhale through the nose for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And continuing with this count in your own breath. And as you continue with this breath, as you continue with this count, see if you can let the diaphragm expand even more on the inhale, so the belly relaxes and expands a little bit more with every inhale. And see if you can let the exhale be a little more relaxed so that all of the air leaves the lungs, making more room for your next inhale. Few more just like this. And as you take your next few breaths here, see if you can relax the pelvis, your legs, your feet a little bit more into the earth, into your mat, onto your space. Letting your torso and the crown of your head float upwards just a little bit more as well. And just begin to gently open your eyes. So we're going to move into our next pose, and I'm going to give you your options. So your options for your hips is to keep your blanket or your towel exactly where it is, or you can begin to take it out from underneath you and roll it more of a long horizontal way. So we are going to come into cobbler pose, otherwise known, you might know it as butterfly pose. The soles of our feet are going to come together. Now, how far forward you let your feet go in front of you is completely up to what feels right for you today. We are going to be holding this for about 2 to 3 minutes. Each one of these yin postures will be held for a little bit more than at least 1 minute. So the idea and the goal here is to be able to hold it in a little bit of discomfort that we can still breathe through, but not so much discomfort that takes all of our attention away from our breath and from our steady mind. So our options here to help us feel more stable and our foundation is we could bring our blanket or a towel underneath our legs, underneath our knees. The higher up you bring it on your thighs, you might feel a little more support in your knees. You can also take your blocks or pillows underneath your knees as well for some more support. I'm going to keep my blanket where it is and use my blocks in front of me so that as I forward fold, I can allow my forehead to release down onto my block. Now, in a more yin style practice, our body tends to hold on for about a minute, sometimes even 2 minutes before it realizes that we are safe and we're not going to fall and we're comfortable in this pose. And at that point, things kind of start opening up a little bit more. So you might find that you can relax even deeper into the pose. So whatever props you have, whenever you feel that you could maybe go a little bit deeper while still maintaining the steady breath, then you can back off of those props a little bit. So for instance, I will start with my blocks this tall in my forward fold in this pose, and then eventually maybe I'll lower my top block, and then maybe I'll take my top block completely off. So finding what works best for you today. So first things first, sitting up nice and tall. And then we're going to slowly start rounding the spine. So spinal flexion, just finding that point where we can completely relax into this pose. Again, feeling a little discomfort, but not so much that we're holding our breath. So this is definitely a sort of meditation. So always returning to that counted breath, inhaling and exhaling through your nose. So finding that position that works best for you today. And just settling in a little bit here. Focusing on your breath. If your mind begins to wander, then let it wander. But then when you realize that it's happening, then come back to your breath. Remember, at any point if you feel you could potentially go deeper into the pose while still maintaining that meditative breath, then just make any adjustments as needed. Just about one more minute here. Finding the pose that works best for you for these last 60 seconds or so. And then slowly just start walking yourself up, removing the props. And then to come out of this, let's take our hands underneath our knees and use your hands to press your knees back up together. We're going to take our hands behind us for a moment, lower our knees over to the left, come back through center and take our knees over to the right. Again, we bring our knees through center and take them over to the left. Back through center and we take them over to the right. And then back through center. So the next posture we're going to do is going to be a one leg forward fold. So we're going to extend our right leg out at a diagonal and take your left leg, the sole of your left foot, really press it into the inner thigh on the right side. And we can flex the right foot so the toes pull back towards us. Now your options here are you can take that rolled blanket or that rolled towel, you can place it under your knee. You can do whatever height feels right for you. So you can prop that knee up however high it needs to be propped up. You can even take another pillow, blanket, or block and set it underneath your left knee to feel a little more supported as well. Now again, we're gonna forward fold. This is all about turning inward and feeling really grounded. So you can have your blocks or your blankets, your blocks or your pillows or your books or whatever it is that you want to have to help bring your forehead closer to the floor, if you will. So sitting up nice and tall in the position that you chose for this space today. And then again, just begin rounding the spine, letting your forehead relax down on something. You can even bring your wrists to the block or to the floor to make that block a little bit higher, but just finding what works best for you today. We'll be holding this for about 1 minute before we move to the other side. 20 more seconds here. So just finding maybe a little more depth into this pose if that feels right for you today. And then slowly just making your way back up nice and gently. And then we're going to start moving to the other side. So just removing your props from this side, taking your left leg out at a diagonal, bringing the sole of your right foot in. And then again, just finding what props you need for your body. And remembering that one side might be a little different than the other. So maybe you need your knee a little bit higher on this left side. Maybe you don't need a block under your right knee on this side. Maybe you need a little bit higher of a platform for your forehead when you forward fold with your left leg extended. So takes a little while to get into these poses, but you want to be able to get in there and find a space that, again, you can relax into without too much effort, without too much discomfort, just a little bit of discomfort, but that you can still breathe through. So we'll hold this side for about a minute or so. So finding what works best for you here. About 20 more seconds on this side. And then just gently beginning to press yourself up, removing your props. We're going to do about a minute with both legs nice and wide. So with both legs wide, again, you can have a towel under each knee if you would like. You can have your legs as wide as you would like, and you can lay as flat as you would like, whatever feels best for you. Another thing that you can do is you can take this towel or this blanket and roll it up and set it underneath your belly for a little extra support in your forward fold. So just finding, again, the space that works best for you. You can have your knees bent if you'd like, and again, some supports under here. So just taking a few moments here to settle in. We'll take about a minute and a half, 2 minutes here, not very long. Finding that depth, finding that relaxation, finding that grounding pose that works best for you today. about 30 seconds here. So again, just finding maybe a little more depth if that's what your body needs today. And then just gently beginning to remove your props. You can take your blocks to the top of your mat, the top of your space. We're going to use those shortly in that space. And then to come out of this pose, just be very gentle. So when we're opening all of this up, we're completely relaxed down. We're getting deep into the tendons, the joints, the ligaments, the fascia. So when we re-engage to pull everything back in, we want to do it very gently and not very in a shocking way. So using your hands to pull your legs back into center, and then let's do that windshield wiper again. So taking your hands behind you, let's drop our knees over to the right this time first. Back through the center and then over to the left. Back through the center, over to the right. Back through center and over to the left. Okay, so we're going to come into a few poses that aren't quite seated, but they're still very much rooted down into the earth. So go ahead and bring your feet close into you. We're just going to come to a little squatted position for a moment. Take a moment here, just feel the balls of your feet pressing down into the floor, a little massage into your feet as you roll forward and back, or rock forward and back rather. And this next pose is going to be, it's called Malasana. It's kind of like a wide leg squat. So you can have a block here if this feels a little too intense for you right now. You can also use your blanket and roll this up, or you can roll up your mat, and I'll show you what we're going into as I give you these prop ideas. Okay, so a Malasana squat is where you have your feet a little bit bigger than hip distance, a little wider than hip distance, and your toes pointing out, and you start lowering down your hips to the floor. Now, I have a blanket under my heels. This is great for people where your heels don't touch the floor, but you still want to feel supported. So you can bring the blanket or you can roll up your mat to help support your heels. If that is what you need, you can also bring your block as more of like a seat, and you can stack these up as high as you need them to be stacked. So we're getting into not only opening up the inner thigh muscles, but this is actually engaging the glute muscles to help open up the inner thighs, open up, so a little abduction happening here. We're also releasing and relaxing the glute maximus so that we can release the tailbone down as well. So we've got 3 glute muscles on each side, glute minimus, medius, and maximus. We're using each of them, but some of them in a slightly different way, if you will. You can bring your hands to your heart and just bring your hands to heart center. Now my elbows are at my inner thighs, but they're not at my knees. So I'm not pressing my knees apart. I'm just bringing my elbows to my inner thighs, and as I bring my hands to my heart, just kind of opens up my legs a little bit wider. And so you can rock side to side here if you'd like. We won't be here very long, just getting into the inner thighs a little bit more since we've been working in that area. And I want you to take a moment, sitting up nice and tall with your spine, and I want you to squeeze your glutes, squeeze everything you got. Squeeze it, squeeze it, squeeze it, and then release. And you should feel a nice release in your low back From here as well, letting your spine release down towards the floor a little bit more. Letting that root chakra reach a little bit closer towards the earth, letting gravity help us out. Let's do that again. So squeezing it all in, nice and tall through the spine, contracting through the glutes, and then releasing down a little bit more, letting that spine really come down towards the floor. Okay, so we're gonna go into a low crescent lunge. You can use your blanket or your towel to help support your knees. So I will show you that here. And we're gonna come with our right foot forward first and our left leg down, our left knee down. Now we're gonna go into more of a lizard lunge. So I'll give you a few options here as well. So with your right foot, I want you to go ahead and take it to the outside edge of your mat. That's going to be a little bit wider than hip distance, and then crawl that foot forward a little bit. I want you to bring the right hip back a little bit and then engaging through the right glutes. So we're utilizing the strength a little bit here to set up. Now, if you would like to use your blocks here, you can bring your hands to your blocks, which will help you sit up a little bit higher and not get so deep into the hips. You can, of course, use your blocks at their higher level, or your books or your pillows or whatever you would like to help prop yourself up. This is a pretty intense stretch. So we're opening up through the hip flexors. We're letting the root chakra sink down towards the floor a little bit more. And we're working through the legs as well as the top of the left foot and the sole of the right foot. So there's actually a lot going on here. So you can, if you want to make this more active or more of a yang style, you can curl the ball of your left foot and lift your knee. But I really want to make this practice more of a yin style, at least for me today. So I'm going to lower my knee down and let the top of my foot rest. So from here, we're just going to hold this for about a minute. You can find whatever depth works best for you. You can change it up as you go. You can, if this is something that you practice regularly, release the blocks all the way and come all the way down to the floor. So what I want you to do here is let your gaze be at the top of your mat and not back behind you, so that we're keeping the neck nice and long as well. Perhaps you gaze at a candle or your crystal or a statue that reminds you to stay grounded and rooted. So let's take a couple of breaths here and we'll hang out here for about 45 more seconds. And then slowly bring yourself up, press your hips back, and then take your right knee down to the floor. We're gonna take our knees out wide, our toes together. Just sink your hips back for a moment. Let's take child's pose. So your arms can go out towards the top of your mat, or they can reach back towards behind you, and let your forehead relax down on the mat. And then coming back into a tabletop position, we're gonna go into the other side. So just taking that left foot now in front, we're gonna walk it over to the outside edge of our mat and just gonna crawl it forward a little bit. And again, I would prefer you to start at a higher setting on your props. And then find what works best for you, because one side's gonna feel a little different than the other. So from here, take that left hip back a little bit. And this is so that we just don't stick our butt out to the left. So we want the hip bones to be pretty evenly pointing towards the front of your mat. Yeah, so taking your left hip back, contracting through your right glutes a little bit more, and then let the hips sink down, let your root chakra sink down towards the mat a little bit more. And then from here, once you have found that depth in the hips, once you are feeling this in the legs, then you can stay here, or you can go just outside of your comfort zone, just so where you can still focus on the breath and still hold this pose for a few moments. So we're gonna hold this again for about 60 seconds, 45 seconds or so here on this side. Your gaze is out in front of you, not back behind you, keeping your neck nice and long. And then just making your way back up, taking your left foot back behind you into this tabletop position. And then again, let's just take our knees out wide, our toes together, and sink your hips back down to child's pose. We're gonna hold this for a little bit longer than the last one. So find what works best for you. I want you to really sink your pelvis down towards the floor, down towards your feet. Let everything melt down towards the earth. And then slowly making our way into this tabletop position. Let's cross our feet and have a seat. We're gonna slowly start making our way down towards our back. So you can keep your, actually you can keep your blanket close to you. I can show you another beautiful, wonderful, feel-good thing you can do with this blanket. So go ahead and roll it up, or your towel, roll it up to a little ball like we were doing earlier. We're gonna come to laying on our back. So we're gonna take a couple of minutes in Shavasana here. So Shavasana is where we're completely letting our entire body melt down into the earth, letting everything go, letting our body come into a more neutral state so that everything can kind of reset from the practice that we just did. Then we'll come back into a seated practice, or a seated posture to complete our practice for today. So slowly start letting yourself come down towards your back, and then let your blanket roll be underneath your knees. And so from here, take a few moments to set up. Let your fingers spread nice and wide, your palms open towards the ceiling. Shift your hips side to side if you'd like. And then close your eyes. Finding stillness, feeling completely supported by the earth, is the ultimate root chakra pose, the root chakra element. And you can stay here as long as you'd like. Or you could begin wiggling your fingers and your toes. Let's gently squeeze our right knee in towards our chest. Give it a little hug, a gentle rock side to side. And then letting that leg go long. Let's take our left knee in close to our chest. Just gentle rock again, side to side. And then both knees in. Let's take them wide so they're going towards our armpits or towards our shoulders. And just a gentle rock. Eventually just rocking over to one side. And using your top hand to press yourself up to a seat. And taking a few moments in the seated posture that we started our practice in, Sukhasana, or easy pose. Using whatever props you need to use to feel supported. Let's close our eyes here. Let your hands relax down on your thighs or on your knees or on the floor. And it's important for us to realize and to remember that when we are feeling a little flighty, a little less grounded, when we're feeling the need to connect to the energies of this root chakra, whether it's feeling the need to connect to our actual physical bodies or the energies and the elements associated with the energy center of the root chakra, that we can control that. We can control that through our body, through our breath, through our mind. By transitioning our mind and our breath and our body into a different mode, whether it's laying down in Shavasana, whether it's focusing on a big, earthy, paced breath in and out through the nose, or whether it's through those more grounded, held postures that we just went through, knowing that you have that control over how you feel, over how this root chakra is affecting you and your life. We don't have much control over what happens in this world, but we definitely have control over how we handle it, over how we perceive it, and over how we deal with it. And something as simple as our breath and simple grounded movement can make a world of difference. Let's take a big inhale and reach our arms up high, our palms touch overhead. And as we exhale, we bring our hands down to heart center in gratitude. Gratitude for everything that we have. Gratitude for this earth. Gratitude for this time that we have with our breath and our bodies. Gratitude for our chakras. Gratitude for the base of our spine, our legs, our knees, and our feet. Gratitude for our families. Gratitude for our stability, no matter where that is right now. Gratitude for our foundation, and gratitude for each other in this practice. Namaste.